Today is Friday, July 19th. We'll bring you the key takeaways from former President Trump's speech at the Republican National Convention, what he had to say about his plans for a second term, and the attempt on his life. Also, the latest from the Biden campaign as the president apparently starts to consider dropping his re-election bid. Plus, what to know about a new summer wave of COVID-19 cases, which popular cleaning products are being recalled, and why one man decided to travel across 7 continents to deliver 50 postcards. Those stories and even more news to know in today's episode. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Former President Trump has officially accepted the GOP presidential nomination. On the final night of the Republican National Convention, Trump took the stage, giving the longest convention speech in modern history. The former president spoke for more than an hour and a half. It comes just 5 days after a gunman tried to assassinate him at a political rally. So Trump, for the first time, decided to talk about his personal experience of being attacked. He explained that if he had not turned his head to look at a chart on display, the bullet would have hit its mark, and he would have died. But that quote, "I got lucky, God was with me." He also called for Americans to set aside their divisions and unite behind him, which was seen as a departure from Trump's usual tone, since he often talks about retribution against his political enemies and has called the election the country's final battle. Trump then went on to outline his agenda that includes what he promises to be the largest deportation operation in American history. He also talked about new tariffs on trade and an America First foreign policy. Plus, he promised to lower the national debt while also cutting taxes. And he said he would divert money away from environmental projects, dismissing what he called a green news scam. The final night of the RNC also included appearances from celebrities like UFC President Dana White, musician Kid Rock, and wrestling icon Hulk Hogan. Next up, Trump is expected to appear at a Michigan rally tomorrow with his running mate, J.D. Vance. The Democratic National Convention is set for next month. It seems attitudes might be changing in the Biden campaign. News outlets like Reuters cite sources who say President Biden is now taking calls to step aside seriously. And many Democratic officials apparently think it's just a matter of time before he leaves the 2024 presidential race. As you know, Biden has been facing increasing pressure from top leaders in his own party ever since his debate performance raised fears about his age and ability to win in November. And news outlets like the Washington Post and AP say even more prominent Dems are leaning on Biden to drop out, even former President Obama. Publicly, the president has pushed back, saying he would honor the choice of millions of Americans who voted in the primaries and stay in the race. But now he's apparently weighing his options while he recovers from COVID-19 at his home in Delaware. The Biden campaign is calling an all-staff meeting for today. The Democratic National Committee's rulemaking team also expects to meet today to discuss the process of formally nominating the president early next month. By the way, if Biden does decide to drop out of the race, Vice President Harris is considered the likeliest candidate to replace him at the top of the ticket, though her nomination is not guaranteed and a nominee won't become official until delegates vote at the DNC next month. So, to be continued. An Illinois sheriff's deputy has now been fired, arrested, and charged with murder for shooting and killing a woman he was supposed to help. Sonia Massey called 911, worried there might have been an intruder in her home. But prosecutors say soon after authorities arrived, Deputy Sean Grayson yelled at her to put down a pot of hot water that had been on the stove. They say body cam footage shows she then put her hands in the air, said, "I'm sorry," and ducked for cover. But she was still shot. Prosecutors say Grayson never tried to help her and that he discouraged the other deputy from trying to save her too. This is just the latest case of a law enforcement official who was white being accused of killing an unarmed black person. And the community gathered in protest last week. Now her family is being represented by the same civil rights lawyer who worked on other high-profile police killings like those of George Floyd and Trayvon Martin. The sheriff's office says it fired Grayson because, quote, "With our badge, we accept enormous responsibility. And if that responsibility is abused, there should be consequences." So far, no comment from Grayson or his lawyer, but he pleaded not guilty yesterday and will stay in jail for now. His next court appearance is set for next month. Well, President Biden definitely is not the only American with COVID-19 right now. The CDC analyzed wastewater data that shows COVID activity is considered high or very high in more than half of all states. Plus, there have been more COVID-19 diagnoses in emergency rooms lately, more hospitalizations, and more deaths. Public health experts say it's to be expected in the summer since people travel a lot more and spend time inside to get cool. Still, they say most people don't need to be too worried. Almost everyone has already been vaccinated, infected, or both, so aren't likely to get extremely sick. That said, if you're 65 or older or likely to come in contact with someone who's 65 or older, pregnant, or immunocompromised, they do suggest taking extra precautions. And that means making sure you're updated on your booster shots, wearing a mask in crowded indoor spaces, and getting treatment right away if you think you might be infected. For now, though, the advice for healthy young people is to hold off on getting another shot and instead go for a new updated vaccine set to come out in September. More news still ahead, but first, this episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. Being an adult is great in a lot of ways. We have more wisdom, more control over our time and choices, the list goes on, right? But let's be honest, adulting is not always fun. Think taxes and making all those doctor's appointments for yourself and your family. Thankfully, ZocDoc makes the last one easier. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. I like to check ZocDoc whenever I'm looking for a new type of doctor to make sure I'm considering all of my options. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. Well, the world is saying goodbye to a comedy icon. Bob Newhart died this week at 94 years old. He first gained fame as a stand-up comedian and had the first comedy album that won a Grammy Award for Album of the Year. But he's probably best known for his work on TV with The Bob Newhart Show in the 70s, and then Newhart in the 80s. Newhart was also a frequent guest and fill-in host on The Tonight Show, switching out for his friend Johnny Carson nearly 90 times. And in his later years, he appeared on a bunch of TV shows and movies like The Big Bang Theory, Horrible Bosses, and Elf. Tributes have been pouring in from fans, fellow comedians, and even President Biden. Well, this week, people are also mourning the death of another television staple, Lou Dobbs. The conservative cable news host died at 78 years old. Dobbs was a founding anchor for CNN and later hosted one of the highest-rated shows on Fox Business for more than a decade. He was also a longtime friend of former President Trump, who wrote on social media, quote, "Lou was unique in so many ways and loved our country. He will be greatly missed." Well, people all over the U.S. are now facing consequences for making inappropriate jokes or comments about the shooting that injured former President Trump. News reports and company statements have said school employees, a restaurant worker, a pharmacy worker, a fire chief, a political aide, and many others have lost their jobs over online posts. And Jack Black now says he's going to pause any plans to work with his other Tenacious D band member, who basically joked that he wished the shooter hadn't missed, a sentiment that's been shared in various forms online. Communications experts explain that social media sort of removes the social cues people get from typical interactions. So, for example, if you make an inappropriate joke or comment around work colleagues in person, you might notice them cringe or look away, and then you might apologize or try to walk back what you said. But when you post online, the reaction typically comes later, if at all. So they suggest before you post, ask yourself, would I say this to an audience? And if not, it's probably best to keep it to yourself. That said, there are some advocates who say people should be allowed to make jokes or express opinions without getting fired, and they suggest talking differences out with people instead of turning straight to consequences. A cleaning tool that's become popular across social media is apparently burning people. Bissell recalled about 3.2 million handheld steam shot cleaners. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the cleaner can expel hot water or steam onto people while it's heating up or while you're using it. And there have already been more than 150 reports of burn injuries. The handheld steam cleaners come in a variety of colors, and they're especially popular on TikTok under the hashtag #CleanTalk. They were sold at Target, Walmart, Amazon, HSN, and many other stores. So if you have one, Bissell says you should stop using it and contact them to receive either a $60 credit or $40 refund. We posted a link in our episode notes with more information. It is almost time for the WNBA All-Star Game. And this year, one of the main goals is getting Team USA ready for the Olympics, where it hopes to win an 8th gold medal in a row. So the format is Team USA versus Team WNBA. Team USA includes stars who will play in Paris like Brittany Griner and Asia Wilson, and coach Cheryl Reeve. But Team WNBA includes plenty of other popular players, including Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And they'll be coached by Hall of Famer Cheryl Miller. Tickets for the All-Star Game in Phoenix, Arizona are sold out. It will air on ABC tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern. But before the game tomorrow, we are talking about the so-called Caitlin Clark effect, how the rookie superstar is impacting women's sports now and in the future. Listen right here in your podcast feed tomorrow morning. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Lumi. We've been reporting that many Americans are dealing with record-breaking heat right now. But even when it's not as intense as it has been lately, the summer weather can still leave us feeling sticky and smelly. So for whenever you actually want to go outside and get out and about, Lumi's whole body deodorant can help you stay fresh and confident all summer long. It's honestly my go-to daily deodorant in my bathroom right now. And no wonder. It's been clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. How? Unlike certain traditional deodorants that try to mask odor with fragrance, Lumi is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it even starts. You could grab their original whole-body deodorant, like I use, or check out their new sweat control option. Regardless, Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code, Newsworthy. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. Use code Newsworthy for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code Newsworthy at LumiDeodorant.com. Now back to Feel Good Friday. A man from New Zealand is on a year-long mission to make sure strangers get their postcards. The story starts hundreds of years ago when sailors and whalers would drop letters in a barrel in the Galapagos Islands. They left them hoping other sailors would pick them up and pass them on to loved ones. Well, that post office has since become a tourist attraction, with tourists resuming the tradition of dropping off and picking up letters they're encouraged to hand deliver. And Johnny Beardmore has set out to deliver 50 of them across 7 continents. He's already been to Antarctica, South and Central America, the U.S., and Canada. And the next stops include Iceland, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. He'll eventually wrap things up in the U.K. early next year. The deliveries have included postcards between lovers, friends, a daughter to her mother, from grandparents to their toddler grandson, and so on. Beardmore documents all of his trips on social media. He says his main goal of the trip is to show that even though the world seems disconnected, it doesn't have to be. And he's happy to travel and meet new people along the way. All right, we will be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode about the Caitlin Clark effect. Then we have all the news you need to start the week on Monday. For now, thank you so much for listening and have a great weekend.